Hi everyone, this is Sharon. Are you looking for some new ideas for journal closures? In today's tutorial, I will show you how to make this easy to create button closure. And I just used it with a little bit of twine. So I've got my cover completed. I created this cover from an old Reader's Digest book cover. And I just put some images on the front, and then the inside is lined with this marble paper. So what I'm going to do, I selected two buttons for this closure. This white shell button, which I will put on the inside to act as extra reinforcement for the string that I loop through. And then this leather brown button that I will put on the front of the cover. So my first step is to glue down this shell button on the inside. And the reason I want to glue that down is I want it to stick tight to my cover because when I string my thread through, I want to leave this side a little bit loose so I can get my tie around the back side of my button. And I don't want both of them kind of loose and flopping. So I'm going to glue this inside one down. And what I'm going to use for that is E6000. It's a glue that holds really well on lots of different materials. It's a little goopy and messy, but we will give it a try. So what I'm going to do is just apply some of this to the back side of my button. And I usually put on way more than I need. Just going to take a little bit of that off. Try not to get too much on the front side of it, and then I'm going to put this down. I'm really just eyeballing this kind of center between the top and the bottom. And I will line up my front button by using an awl to poke through my holes. Okay, I've got that where I want it. I am just going to let that sit for a bit, and I will be back with the next step. Okay, I think my glue is dry enough for me to proceed to my next step. So what I'm going to do next is to take my awl and just poke some holes through these buttonholes, clear through the cover to the other side. And hopefully this will be strong enough to get through there. Underneath my cover, I've got this felt pad so that I can stab down. If you don't have a felt pad, you could use like a book block or anything like that that you could poke into. So here we go. That seems to go through pretty easily. Okay, and our holes have come through on the front side. I don't know if you can see that or not. Now, hopefully those holes are thick enough for my needle. I might want to just try to widen those a little bit. I strung some wax linen thread that I'm going to use. This is a dark brown to hold my button on, and I just thought about the fact that this needle width may or may not fit through there, so we'll give it a try. So I'm going to start threading from the inside to the outside. Pull that up through. And then I'm going to take my brown leather button, feed that through there, and then back down the other hole. Okay, success. All right, so as I mentioned, I don't want to pull this extremely tight. I just want to leave this slightly loose so that I can wind some twine behind that. So I think I'm going to keep it something like that, and then on the inside I'm just going to tie a double knot, maybe even a triple knot if I can figure out my strings here. Okay, so first knot, just going to double check this again. I think that should be pretty good. And then I'm going to do my square knot. So I will come back. Maybe do one more. Just for good measure. Okay, I think that will work. And now I'm just going to get a scissors and cut off my strings. I'll leave a little bit of a tail on there. Okay, so we have our closure on the front. So the next step for this will be to put a hole at the back cover where I can string my twine through so I can bring it up and around. So what I thought I would do for this is I took this piece of cardstock. It's from a hanging file folder. I just cut a strip so that it's about, I would say, 5/8 of an inch high, and it's about 3/4 of an inch in length on each side. And I'm just going to wrap that around the edge. I thought that tab would, number one, provide some reinforcement for my hole, and number two, I think it just looks kind of nice on there. And I'm just going to eyeball this and line it up with my button on the front cover so that I get it in place correctly. And I think that looks pretty good there. It won't be the end of the world if it's not exactly, but I'm a measurer, so I typically like to get things lined up. Of course, now I moved it. Okay, and then I'm going to take my crocodile, and I've got a next step. I'm going to also include this little eyelet, but only on this brown cardstock piece. I just think a little extra metal looks nice. It's not a necessary step, but I'm going to punch my holes first and then set that eyelet. So I am going to need the larger hole on my crocodile because of the size of the eyelet that I have. And I think I'll just bring that in. I would say maybe like close to 3/8 of an inch from the edge of the cover. And the crocodile is strong enough to go through this book cover. So that's where I've got my hole. And my thought is now I will place this eyelet on here before I glue this to my cover, because ideally I would have put it through the whole thickness, but this shank on my eyelet is not deep enough to get through this cover, and so I'm just going to set it on my piece of cardboard. Now, if you have an eyelet that would reach all the way through all of your layers in your cover, you could just set that all the way through everything and do it in one step. So here we go. We'll set this on here. So I've got that squished on there. And now I am going to glue this on. And I'm just going to leave it plain. I'm not going to put one on the inside. I think I'll just leave that as is. And I'm going to glue that on with some Beacons 3-in-1. Fabri-Tac, anything like that probably would work. Or your favorite glue for these types of materials. Okay, so let's get some glue on here. My bottle is almost to the bottom, so we will have to wait till it comes down. Okay. Just apply that all the way around the hole. Probably will ooze out on the edge a little bit because I almost always put too much on. Okay. If anyone has any other ideas for how you might want to create this hole on the back. The other thing you could do is, I was going to say, let me know in the comments. The other thing you could do is just use some hole reinforcers also and put those around there. Okay, so I'm going to let that set for a little bit, and I will be back for my very last step, which is to add my string. Okay, the glue has dried on my little tab. So my last step is to put my string or my tie through there. And what I've selected for this particular journal, since it is kind of a rustic, nature-themed journal, I chose some twine. You can really use any kind of string or narrow ribbon for this application. This twine is not real thick. It's a little bit more on the thinner side. I just think that'll work with the size of button that I have. This is a rather small journal. If you have a large button, you could go with something thicker. So what I'm going to do is just take this, fold it in half, and then just thread it through my eyelet, and then loop it through. And then on the front, I can just wrap it around my button a couple of times. And there you've got a simple closure using a button. Now, after I put my signatures in, I have to put those in yet, I will figure out how much length I need, and then I will just cut these strings off and knot them on the end. So I hope you found that tutorial useful, helpful, got you thinking about different ways that you can apply this same technique to your journals. Thanks for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.